Piece of cake.
All right. All right. Thank you for being patient as we work through the usual technical gremlins to make sure that we have both good sound and video for everybody, not only in person, but also online. All right. So have a full agenda today and excited to go through it with you. First off, we have a conversation with Scott Sakakihara, who is the California Democratic Party endorsed candidate for State Senate District 10. Yeah, come on over and join me. And then we'll be having endorsement interviews for Sunnyvale School District and Fremont High School District. But let's go ahead and start off with some time with Scott Sakakihara. Welcome to the club.
This would be because.
Can you hear me? Great. Thank you for having me back. I appreciate it. And I know I met some of you when I visited during the primary, and so won't go through my whole bio and background with you. It hasn't changed. But one of the things I did want to talk about was just it is a piece of my background, I think, that has really informed the way I think about government that I think really applies right now at a really high level to what we're seeing, especially at the federal government level. And that's, I've mentioned last time I came, my entire family was in Japanese American internment camps during the war. So obviously we have seen what happens when government fails to protect its vulnerable communities. But also wanted to talk about all the positive impact that government has had on my family. So even during the war, my grandfather he was in the camps, and while he was in the camps, he decided to enlist and serve in the U.S. Army during the war and immediately after. And then my father's dad passed away when my father was pretty young, and he lived off of his Social Security benefit for a couple of years. He was able to attend college. That generation was the first generation in the family who was able to do that off of a full ride that was public tuition assistance. And then when he was 23 years old, he was able to buy a home in Union City and benefited from a VA loan, right? So it's kind of all along the way. There were these relatively new at the time government programs that really helped my family. And then fast forward a little bit too long probably, but eventually the federal government did obviously apologize for the internment and actually did provide federal redress to the living survivors. And that was what seeded what ended up being the way that I was able to attend college, because then my grandparents passed away immediately after they received that. They left it to my brother and me, and that's how we were able to continue on at that point now, two generation tradition of being able to attend college. So I think now you look compared to today, and obviously, unfortunately, there are very clear parallels between what happened then, and certainly that was not the last time we saw discrimination by the government. But now, most recently, with what you see happening with our immigrant communities and with ICE and Trump's attacks. And so I think the current legislature has done in California a great job of really taking that and making it a big priority to respond to the legal extent that they can, in the Attorney General's office as well. And then also just more generally, right, there's the HR1 rollbacks that a lot of the health community are really worried about. There's education cut. There's kind of just cuts that are scheduled to take place across the board. So I think that's a big piece of it. But then also, again, having that family history of the positive experience, the force for good that the government can provide. I think on the Democratic side, we need to be able to paint that too, right? It's not just a rollback of let's go back to pre-Trump. We need to dismantle the things that he's done, but build up something much stronger in its place and be able to paint a positive vision for what government can be. And I think that California, the state of California, is the place to really be the locus of that movement, right? Given that we do have large majorities in both houses of the legislature. Hopefully, we'll have a Democratic governor incoming, right? That there's going to be a lot of opportunity to build something better in place of what Trump has done. I think so. That's my focus right now. I'm working really hard, still knocking on doors, doing field, getting out, talking to as many people in the community as possible. And the other piece that I would love to partner with your club on is that I'm really looking for candidates that you think are great candidates running for school boards, for community college boards, for city council, for our special districts that I can partner with and that hopefully help provide my campaign's resources. We have lots of volunteers who will be out there anyway, knocking on doors for my campaign. Can we partner with the candidates that you've endorsed that you think are going to be the next generation of folks who are going to be able to make positive change and work together on that? I know from the only other race I had ever run before this one was for city council, and I knocked on all the doors by myself, and I maybe had 2 or 3 people who were willing to come out there with me. But it's hard to motivate people to come out with you, and so I really appreciate all the work that you do as a club to support your local candidates, and I want to help support the local candidates too. So if I can partner with you and understand which races those are that you think need support, and maybe are have an opponent that doesn't share the same ideology for the Democratic Party, would love to partner on that. So thank you for having me today. I'd love to answer any questions too.
Absolutely. So we've got about 10 minutes for Q&A. So if we have a mic that we can go ahead and take out into the audience, who has questions that are burning in your mind?
Besides homelessness, which is on everybody's agenda, what other issues would you be dealing with in Sacramento?
Yes, lots of issues, right? And some of them we don't get control over. They get like a lot of the federal government pieces we're talking about. I think that a lot of the impacts of HR1 are scheduled to start happening in October of this year and then January of next year. And then with the incoming governor, right, there's going to be a sort of filling out period in terms of understanding what his priorities are as well, I think. So there's going to be some external factors, but two of the big issues, in addition to homelessness, like you said, that really motivated me to run. One is very interlinked with homelessness, but just housing issues more broadly, right? And that one, I think, probably spoke about it last time, but just very close to home for me because my wife and I, both having grown up in Union City, where I'm now on the city council, you can go down the list of all of our friends from high school, and they're either living well outside the Bay Area, in some cases outside the state, cost of living, or if they're still living in Union City, it's often because they had to bunk up with 3 or 4 generations of their household. They may still be living at home. Now they have kids. Their kids live with the grandparents. And it's nice the grandparents get to see the kids, but right there, it's out of necessity, not out of choice. If you had the choice to do that, that'd be fine. And so I think I know that's top of mind for many people at the state level, but there's still much to be done, I think, especially on housing that's built to be affordable in particular. So that's one. Another is energy. So climate change more broadly, but specifically clean energy. On the housing side, I'm now the chair of the Housing Authority for Alameda County, and then my lens into the energy industry has been getting to serve on ABA Community Energy, which used to be East Bay Community Energy, and I know you have equivalents down here in the South Bay, and I'm getting to know the folks who are involved with those. But I think now more than ever, we have an actually very the ceiling for what we can do has been expanded dramatically because of the advances with battery technology, obviously solar, wind, right? I know Trump's kind of taken away some of our offshore wind options, but there's a lot more that we can be doing there. But it's not guaranteed. There's also projections of what might happen that actually really extend out timeline for when we're able to go fully green and clean, right? So I think continuing to push in that space, even though we are on the right trajectory, is going to be hugely important. And then the third one, I'll just add that I honestly was not running on when I started, but that I've seen even just over the last 6 months, a lot of concern and interest come up is just what are we doing to make sure that we develop technology, in particular AI, but technology more generally, safely with appropriate safeguards in place, right, for kids, for the elderly, for consumers, for privacy, right? I think there's a lot there, and the legislature is going to be always trying to catch up and keep up on that area too.
Hi, Scott. Guy Johnson with the IAM Union, Local 1782, Air Transportation, San Jose Airport with Southwest Airlines. In Senate, you may know that labor unions are constantly under attack with the protect the right to organize. We're also up against companies that are getting major tax breaks for union busting. In Senate, what would you do to change that and fight for labor?
Thank you. Yeah, and it's a great question because I think there's lots to partner with across a variety of issues with the labor community. We definitely want to partner, but you're kind of getting to the core, right? It just even the right to exist, the right to organize, to bargain, to come to the table and have a seat, I think is hugely important. My wife's a, lifelong union member as a teacher. I have a uncle who was a lifelong teamster, and the only reason he was able to retire was he worked in a warehouse graveyard shift his entire career was because of his union fighting for, pension rights. So he's retired now. It's very hard for him to get around because of the career that he had, but he has medical benefits, he has retirement benefits. So for me, that's a core principle of just protecting that right, expanding that right to your point of what you would do, right? I think that, to the maximum extent allowed under what we can do at the state level, right? There's sort of federal restrictions as well. We need to make sure that we're going all the way up to that point. And then also helping to make sure that that is a reality and not just a paper, right? That there's actually organizing that is able to happen at employer sites. So I think that's just the base. And then to get to your point, there's a lot of other pieces that I think we need to go work on beyond that. But that has to at least be the first thing that we're focused on.
Hi, Scott. I have a question, but I want to make a statement first, and that is to say thank you very much for coming out and meeting with the trustees in your Senate district and hearing about what's happening in our schools, what we see are our hopes and what we see are our challenges, and how we can work together as you move into this new position. So we really appreciate. I know everyone who's there appreciated the time that you spent with us, and they were pretty good questions. So thank you. My question isn't so much about education, but it does relate in the sense that one of the first questions that I asked when we talked is that, this current seat is held by a woman and a woman of color. And how are you going to make sure that we are represented in that way? And why it's important. I want to see our students be able to say, hey, I can apply to it.
Yes, thank you for the question. I think it's hugely important. And even when I was on the city council in Union City, one of my big focuses was how do we build the bench of candidates, right? Strong Democrats, women candidates, people of color, right? LGBTQ plus community, make sure that we're just really electing officials that in aggregate represent the diversity of the region that we live in. And so I'm strongly supporting a slate of candidates that are running in the 3 council seats, for example, in Union City, who really reflect that diversity. And I want to do the same across the district that I hope to represent you. So it includes all of Sunnyvale and then a lot of the areas that the school board members that we met with represent as well. And so to the earlier point about partnering with your club, right? I've been told I should not say I'm still getting to learn, but I'll just be honest, I'm still getting to learn the area, right? I'll be honest, I was not planning to run for this seat until this county, right? So I've done my best to come down here as many times per week as I can. But obviously you've been involved for, many years and decades in some cases, you're going to know the area better. And I want to know who are the candidates that we can serve, who are the female candidates, the strong Democrats, the people, right? Like anyone who can be part of this coalition. And I think that I want to see the same also reflected, not just in local seats and at the state level and the federal level, but also in the staff stuff. So I'm very committed to, hiring a staff that represents the diversity of our district as well.
So I'll just step in for a moment. Let's keep an eye on the time because I know that we want to make sure we run on time for our candidate interviews. Let's go ahead and take one more question.
All right, thank you very much, Councilmember Sakihara. Richard Miller, Vice Mayor of Sunnyvale. One of the big issues in my district has been redevelopment and specifically the redevelopment of retail into housing and loss of retail. Prior to being on council, I supported and strongly advocated for many of the state housing bills that have been passed because I understand that we have a serious housing crisis and we need to address it. But what I'm seeing now is that these same bills are being used to rip down neighborhood serving retail and put up low density townhouses. So, yes, grocery stores specifically. And so we have neighborhoods in North Sunnyvale that historically disadvantaged and are losing access to a lot of grocery stores. What I would like to ask you is, what do you intend to do at the state level to help communities better support neighborhood serving retail and prevent the formation of food deserts? Thank you.
Right. And I really appreciate the question. And also you mentioning food deserts specifically, because I think that's a great example. And even from from my time on the city council, we've seen, in addition to food deserts, obviously building more housing has other impacts as well on our, police and fire services, infrastructure you need. There's a whole variety of services on the issue that bring in additional population. The school districts in our area are, would love to see enrollment growth, but at a certain point, right, you need to make sure you have capacity in the school districts as well. And so I think there is a way to be both, pro housing, which I am, and pro solving the housing shortage and acknowledging that a lot of both homelessness at one end of the scale, and then also just the sort of involuntary flight of a lot of folks of my generation out of the Bay Area with cost of living, that you can address that while also not having to say, well, it's sort of this black or white thing. That means that therefore everything needs to be greenlit, even if it's going to replace a grocery store or a school or, a community center or something like that. And so I think, my most charitable version, I'm not going to defend what the legislature's done before I've even joined it. But my most charitable read of it is, hey, we've done a tremendous job of getting close to consensus on what the root problems are over the last 10 years. If you told us 10 years ago what we sort of collectively seem to think is now, I think, a lot of progress has been made, but that the first wave of this is a little bit like throwing a bunch of, darts at the wall and trying to see what makes sense. And some of it's going to hit the target and some of it is not. And then we're going to have to go in and clean up and make sure. I know there's been unintended consequences even for this community in terms of like the impact that it may have on home, right? And so I think the same is going to be true for groceries. And we're just going to have to be thoughtful and more targeted as we kind of fix some of the bills that haven't passed. And if additional ones pass, as I think they probably should, that we kind of try to get that built in the first wave as well, so that there aren't these unintended attacks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you very much for your time, and great to see you here at the club. I hope to see you again soon, and good luck on the campaign trail.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for having me.
All right. So nearly time to interview some candidates, but had something slip my mind on the agenda, which was right at the top of the meeting. You were supposed to have some updates from our city council endorsed candidates. So while we're getting ready to run our candidate interviews, want to come on in? Yeah, we have one in the room.
Thank you very much, Doug. I really appreciate it. Hi, I'm Richard Mellinger. I'm Vice Mayor and Council Member for District 5. And I just wanted to say thank you so much to the club for your support, for your endorsement. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make the picnic. I was down on Central Coast for my dad's 70th birthday. So, well, sorry, not sorry. But I just want to say how grateful I am for your support. Myself, Councilmember Sell, Councilmember Srinivasan, we just got the news about a week ago. We are all running unopposed, so that's fantastic news for us. Thank you. Definitely a weight off my shoulders. But I want to thank you all for your support. And I do want to flag a couple of things. First of all, we have 3 charter amendments on the ballot this fall. And while I'm sure the club will have its own endorsement process, I want to personally urge all of you to vote for those charter amendments. They're really important. They're really, really important for improving the way our city does contracting, how we fill vacancies, managing settlement authorities. They are largely technical fixes, but they are very important. And the second thing I wanted to mention is, there's 3 things I want to mention, but we just rolled out a new CRM system, a new constituent relationship management software. In my Sunnyvale, this was one of my big initiatives. I proposed it back when I first took office in 2023. It's a mobile 311 system. You can use it to file tickets on anything that's wrong in the city, cracked sidewalks, graffiti, a dead mattress, whatever, anything that needs fixing. You can also use it to get in touch with staff. You can download it, put it on your phone, take a picture, submit it, get it fixed real fast. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is that the Sunnyvale Beam, our new shuttle service, our new point-to-point shuttle service serving the entire city of Sunnyvale, is going to be rolling out, I believe, in a week, just this coming week. It's going to be called the Sunnyvale Beam. You should check it out. Stay tuned if you're on any of the city mailing lists, but that's going to be a great resource. I believe it's going to be running from 9 to 9 on weekdays and 9 to 5 on weekends. So thank you all, and looking forward to great endorsement session.
Looking forward to seeing that Sunnyvale Beam rolling out. And I got to say, we endorsed 3 city council candidates, and they're all running unopposed. So that just shows you the power of these endorsements that nobody else is in. Sure.
The other 2 are online if they want to speak.
Oh. And the other 2, so council members Srinivasa and Sel are online if they want to say anything brief.
Yeah, can I go ahead? Can you hear me? This is
We can hear you.
Yeah, thank you for your endorsement, and then I really appreciate your support. And then yes, we are unopposed, and then looking forward to the endorsement for the rest of the evening. But more importantly, as Richard said, these 3 measures are very, very important for the city. We would strongly urge you to vote yes, and then tell your supporters to vote yes also. Thank you very much. Thanks for Dems Club and all the members. Thank you very much.
Hi, this is Linda Sell, Councilmember Sell. I wanted to thank the club for doing an endorsement for the council. I know you put a lot of work into it with the questions and having the meeting and inviting everyone. And thank you for that. Thank you for the support that you showed during the campaign. I had 2 large campaign events, and you promoted them both. And so I had a really strong campaign, and a lot of that strength was due to the Sunnyvale Democratic Club. So this is the 2nd time I've ran unopposed, and it's the strength of the Sunnyvale Democratic Club and all the great ideas in this term that you've helped provide input on, and we've been able to push forward. So thank you. Keep it going. Good luck on this endorsement meeting.
Very much. Congratulations all. All right. So as advertised, we are doing some endorsement interviews. First, we just want to make sure that we clearly state the rules of the road here. And I want to introduce Martin Pine, our political director.
Hi. Okay. So today we are doing endorsement interviews for Sunnyvale School District and for Fremont Union High School District. So the rules are we only endorse Democrats. There are 3 trustee areas that we're going to be dealing with today. All of the other trustee areas were uncontested, and congratulations to everybody in the uncontested trustee areas on their effective election. One thing we have planned for next meeting is that we're actually going to hear from a bunch of candidates who probably would have endorsed, except they're unopposed. So they're just going to win, and we don't have to spend a bunch of time interviewing them. But that's for next meeting. Also for next meeting, we'll probably be doing ballot measure endorsements, because honestly, most of the races I had on deck for next meeting ended up being either uncontested or uncontested past the point of seats. Like Cupertino Union, there were 3 seats up, and there were 3 candidates. So we aren't going to be doing endorsements for Cupertino Union this year because there's no point. So I think we'll have lots of time next meeting for ballot measures and other things. But that's getting ahead of ourselves. So there are 3 trustee areas. There is one Fremont Union trustee area where there are 2 Democrats running, and we're interviewing both of them today. In the Sunnyvale School District and the other Fremont Union trustee, well, in the Sunnyvale School District, there is one Democrat and one no party preference. In the other Fremont Union one, there's one Democrat and one candidate who filed very late, and I was not definitively able to figure out his party preference because there are 4 people with his name in that zip code, and one of them is a Democrat, one of them is no party preference, 2 of them are Republicans. I did reach out to his campaign email address, but I did not get a response. I still have not. I did not get a response back by the 5 p.m. Wednesday deadline. I still actually haven't gotten a response back, so I'm going to consider. So if he's one of the 1 out of 4 Democrats, I'm going to consider that failure. I'm going to say I'm going to just say failure to respond negates your ability to get endorsed. So how the process works, balloting is actually technically open right now. I've opened up all the online ballots, but we do ask that you, unless you really have to go somewhere, you stick around for the discussion after the interviews. We'll be interviewing all of the candidates in sequence. If you are a candidate, or if you are paid campaign staff for a candidate, we ask that you are only present for that candidate's interview, for your interview or your candidate's interview. After we get through all of the interviews, we will then ask everybody who's not a club member in good standing to leave. And if you're a candidate or a paid candidate staffer, also please leave at that point. But again, if you are a candidate or a candidate staffer in good standing with the club, you can still vote. Just don't stick around for the system. But again, you can still vote. We will have a closed session. We'll have a discussion in closed session about each of the races in sequence, and then everybody will vote. And you need to get 60% of the vote for a sole endorsement. If in the one race where we have 2 Democratic candidates, if nobody gets 60%, we will then have a vote on whether to do a dual endorsement. And that ballot is not open yet. That ballot will be opened after we tabulate the first ballot. Nobody gets 60%. Does anyone have any questions about that need to be taken out? Yes, Naomi, you have the last time slot, so we'll see you back in I think an hour. I mean, again, if you want to run somewhere, you have time. So yeah, that's all I have for now. I have my timer.
Thank you, Mark. All right, so for interviewing first, for Sunnyvale School District, Trustee Area 3, we have Rommy Kushner. Come on down. Well, let's make sure.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here.
So we'll go ahead and start with a 1-minute opening statement.
I'm running because every student deserves an academically supportive and safe school experience. My background as a Spanish teacher, former Sunnyvale paraeducator, multilingual educator, and community advocate gives me classroom and community perspective. I will focus on a strong academic and higher school readiness, safe, welcoming schools, support for teachers and staff, responsible budgeting and transparency, strong family and community partnership. My approach as a teacher is listening. I observe. I ask clear questions. I will use data and put the student first. Trustees should govern responsibly, not micromanaging every aspect in the school district. So thank you for your consideration.
So you keep that on. So yeah.
Yeah, Rommy, can you hold the mic closer to your people online are having trouble?
All right, so now we have 2-minute questions, and you received these in advance. So your first question, what is the role of a trustee, and how do you approach it? Should they be directing the superintendent and staff or deferring to them?
So as a trustee role is governance, not day-to-day management. The board sets policy, approves budgets, adopts curriculum, oversees contracts, and hires, evaluates the superintendent. Trustees should not direct individual staff or manage operations. But trustees also should not simply defer without oversight. My approach is collaboration, but no be passive asset. Listening to families, educators, staff, and students, review data and trade-offs, monitor whether decisions improve the students' outcomes, and the superintendent manage implementation. The board sets direction and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So the next question. What changes in policy do you support to make the district more accountable to equity, equality, and diversity? How would the success of these policies be measured?
Equity must be practical and measurable, not just a value statement that we hear over and over in our schools. Equality means dignity and fair treatment for every student. Diversity means recognizing the strengths of all the students and families. I support reviews for major project programs that impact equity in education, a stronger multilingual family communication, inclusive practices for students with disabilities, multilingual learners, LGBTQ plus students, and students from all backgrounds, staff trainings on bias prevention, cultural responsiveness, and inclusive classroom. The measure success by reading and math growth, smaller achievement gaps, English learner progress, lower chronic absenteeism, fewer disproportionate disciplined outcomes, a stronger school climate surveys results, more family participation from underrepresented communities.
Judge, sorry, one moment. They're having a hard time understanding Romy's microphone. We think it might be a microphone issue, so I was wondering if you could pass over to her after you're done, after you ask the question. Thank you.
So we'll have to practice sharing, just like we teach in elementary school, right? Okay. So your third question. What is the school district's role in providing nutrition to students when school is in session and during school breaks?
So hunger is a barrier to learning. Students cannot focus regular emotions or fully participate if they are hungry. During school, the district should provide healthy, accessible meals without a stigma. Families should receive clear information in the languages they use. And during breaks, or school breaks, the district should coordinate with city, county, food bank, and nonprofits organizations to provide nutrition to the students in the district. My focus should be access so families know where to go, give them the information they need, serve the food with dignity so no child should be ashamed when they go for food. Continuity, plan ahead for breaks, summer and emergencies, like when we have the COVID and we have to shut off the schools. The families know they have food served or delivered in the schools. San Miguel, where I used to work, was one of them. I helped to pack food to provide nutrition to our students and their families. Nutrition supports attendance, health, readiness, and academic achievement.
Thank you. Got a microphone here. All right. Your fourth question. Some parents have raised concerns about the teaching of LGBTQ plus subjects and discussing the war in the Middle East. How should these subjects be addressed in the classroom? Does AB 715 impact how these topics are presented? And I'll just say this, the first time AB 715 comes up, it's California Assembly Bill 715, which is a state law addressing discrimination and anti-Semitism in public schools.
So these topics require care, age appropriateness, factual accuracy, and respect. On LGBTQ plus topics, every student and family deserves dignity and safety. Instructions to be age appropriate and aligned with the state standards. Schools should not erase the students or families because a topic is uncomfortable. On the war in the Middle East, classrooms should be places of learning, not political advocacy. Teachers need clear guidance and support. Discussions should be factual, balanced, age appropriate, and focus on empathy, history, critical thinking, and civil dialogue. On AB 715, my understanding is that it reinforces the responsibility of schools to prevent discrimination, including antisemitism. Implementation should be legally sound, clear, communicated, and consistent with civil rights protections. No student should be targeted because they are Jews, Muslim, Arab, Israeli, Palestinians, members of the LGBTQ+, or because of any protected identity.
All right, the last 2 minutes to answer your question. How can the district best guarantee that students going to high school can meet state requirements in mathematics, English, science, arts, and language?
As a K-8 district, Sunnyvale must prepare students to enter high school ready, not just from off. So the key actions is to build the strong foundations in reading, writing, and math early. Use data before students fall far behind. Align expectations with high school requirements. Coordinate with Fremont Union High School District on readiness. This is important because there is no clear communication between those two school districts. Support multilingual learners and students with disabilities without lowering expectations. Expand access to STEM, arts, music, and world language opportunities in our schools. And communicate clearly with families about readiness milestones.
All right, so that is the end of your long form questions. And now we have 2 lightning round questions. So each of these you'll have 30 seconds to answer. Now I'm going to share these questions in advance. Your first lightning round question. What more can the district do to support safe routes to school?
So to support safe routes to school, we need to work with community partnerships and also with the Sunnyvale government to create safe routes to school for walking, biking, and even for students who drive to school, in this case for high school. So it's important to work in partnership with those communities, association.
Thank you. Your second lightning round question. How should LGBTQ students be protected and supported in our schools? For example, how are trans student needs met, including trans athletes?
So members of the LGBTQ community, they are supported by Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and Title IX, Gender Act, the Gender Act Equity. So our students are protected by law. They have the right to participate in all the events and activities and sports.
That is your last lightning round question. All right, so to conclude your interview, you have a 1-minute closing statement.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me and being here. So, if I'm elected to the Sunnyvale Elementary District Board, I will bring experience as a teacher, former Sunnyvale paraeducator, multilingual educator, and community advocate. I'm running to help Sunnyvale schools be academically strong, safe, welcoming, and accountable. I understand the importance of strong academics, student well-being, teacher support, staff support, also transparent budgeting and family partnership. I believe trustees should listen deeply, govern responsibly, and keep the focus on students. I will be honored to earn your endorsement and serve the students, families, and schools of Trustee Area 3.
All right. So that concludes your interview. Thank you very much for your time and for preparation and good luck. Next up, we're going to be welcoming Rosa Kim, who's running for Fremont Union re-election to Fremont Union High School District Trustee Area 3. All right. So we can see how you do with this microphone, and if that doesn't work, then we can pass.
Hello? Can you hear me well? Yeah.
All right. So first off, we have 1 minute for an opening statement.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity. I am Rosa Kim. I'm running for re-election to Fremont FUHSD board. This is my 8th year on the board, and I think we still have many important works to do. I've helped lead the district navigate the pandemic and supported our students' wellness, and also supported our facility bond measures as a campaign committee co-chair and helping modernizing our students in the facilities and advance fair representation throughout the transition to trustee area election. But I'd like to reinforce our the work to close opportunity gap and navigate declining enrollment and prepare our students better for future in the AI era. So I really appreciate the past endorsement of them and will appreciate the support of them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so now we have a series of 2-minute long-form questions for you. There's going to be 5 of them. And the first question is, what is the role of a trustee and how do you approach it? Should they be directing the superintendent and staff or deferring to them?
Yeah, our board role is setting the direction and priorities and representing the community definitely and holding our superintendent accountability. So this work is collaborative work, not only individual trustees work. And I don't think we simply defer to the superintendent for their work because our board member has an independent responsibility to provide oversight. I think I see this is more like a balanced work. We should not, micromanage our staff members, but we need to ask critical questions and bring diverse perspectives and thoughtful decision aligned to our need, the needs of our students and families. So that is very important work. And I see this as a beauty of public education. And I continue to bring that balance and collaborating with our staff members, I believe. And, definitely, so yeah, I want to actually see this work as bringing different voices. So not because we have a really big district community. So I think our board responsibility is bringing all different perspectives but what we make a decision, very thoughtful decision we should make, and carefully see the impact then make for the entire school district. So I want to continue working. I want to continue working with our board members collectively and cohesively. So that'll be my priority. Sure.
All right, thank you. So your next question. What steps should be taken to address historic inequities in North Sunnyvale, including transportation to school and access to extracurricular activities?
I think the first step is listening to our students and parents and do not make assumption because they know the needs. So we should listen more to our students and family members. And I see, the achievement, the opportunity gap and in many ways in Northern Sunnyvale. And we've tried our district have worked over the several years with transportation, for example. So we have a very good relationship, important relationship with VTAs. So we provided bus passes for North Sunnyvale students, and we brought Route 55 for our students in addition to Route 255. So nowadays, in the morning time, we have 4 school buses between 8 and 8:30, right before the school start. And also afternoon with 2 routes. We provide, bus every 30 minutes. So it's been actually improved, but I know this is not enough. And for especially after school, our students have different schedule. So it's a little bit challenging, more challenging than the morning time, but we should continue to provide more support. And I'm excited about the transit path programs. We have a pilot program for our Fremont high school students to provide free transit pass. They can ride a bus for free for the next 6 months. I'd like to work on expanding those time, more than 6 months, and also extracurricular activities. And then for the transportation, we hired the transportation consultant and see the solution feasible and sustainable. Extracurricular activities, same. Every student's needs we need to know and address that.
Thank you. Make sure it's ready. Yeah. Then third question. What is the school district's role in providing nutrition to students when school is in session and during school breaks?
Healthy, accessible, and nutritious meal serving is foundation for our students' learning and their well-being. So I'm really appreciate our district's priorities and effort serving scratch cooking and farm to school, and we also collect students' input throughout nutrition service student committee. So we provide the vegetarian, vegan option for every meal, and change menu based on students' interest. But definitely, we need to proactively see the more needs. And at recent board meeting, there's a discussion about providing third meal in addition to free brunch and lunch. So my thought is actually we need to see the needs of our students, and we need to do student survey and see the needs, and based on the student needs, we can look at the data and also the feasible way and logistics to address the needs. And outside, the school year, during the school break, definitely we need to make sure every students are not hungry during the school break. So I believe the collaboration with our community organization like Sunnyvale Community Service is really critical. So I'm actually working on creating more collaboration, bring resources from Sunnyvale Community Service to our students in need. So that definitely, that's the work I want to do more in my next term.
Thank you. Your fourth question. Some parents have raised concerns about the teaching of LGBTQ+ subjects and discussing the war in the Middle East. How should these subjects be addressed in the classroom? Does AB 715 impact how these topics are presented?
So LGBTQ plus students. So our California, mandated that's the require inclusive curriculum. So that's the period. So we should create more inclusive and welcoming, culture for every student. So LGBTQ students needs to see the community actually supporting them as, so they deserve more than actually the supporting. So I believe, the training our staff members is very important and, professionally and appropriately how we can incorporate their needs in our classroom and support their needs because I know they've been suffered mentally and socially. So I think that's our work we need to address and create more inclusive environment and also the war in Middle East. So I think this is all about providing our classroom. In our classroom, we need to teach history and current, the uh, the happening. So even though and then also educate our students, differentiate, the facts from opinions, and educate them, even though it's difficult topic, educate them from reliable resource and let them know the different perspectives and do critical thinking. So, but we always need to be clear that this work is not, from creating more hatred or bias. So it's important work to, develop their critical thinking.
Thank you. And your final 2-minute question. What policies are needed to ensure that the district works with the feeder districts, such as the Sunnyvale School District, to guarantee that students coming to high school can meet state requirements in mathematics, English, science, arts, and language?
So our board priority for the next years the strengthening our collaboration with our feeder school districts. So because we are high school district, so we are different from unified school district, we actually better understand the needs of students in coming to our high school program. So I'm really glad recently we have the contract working with our Sunnyvale School District to online our 8th graders from Sunnyvale School District and our 9th grade students to do have more online in math curriculum. So this kind of partnership should continue beyond math. And I know our middle school students needs to know what kind of opportunities they can have at high school. So I hope to have more collaboration opportunity between our middle schools and high school, especially, and let them know what they can experience at high school. So definitely our teachers and curriculum lead, their partnership will be foundation to create this collaboration. So definitely I want to see more collaborative work between our STEM members and also students. So our high school students' visibility at middle school, elementary school campuses, it actually, let them know what kind of opportunity, not just academic opportunity, extracurricular activities. We should mention in the previous question. So let them have opportunity to thrive at high school is really important. And I also want to work to create more of the student partnership like climate action too. So it's the time.
Thank you. All right, so now we move on to our lightning round. So we have two 30-second questions that have not been shared with you in advance. The first question is what more can the district do to support safe routes to school?
They went to school. That's definitely really important of our work. And I know the city of Sunnyvale is working to strengthening more work for their safe route to school. And I heard there's a mispresentation from our high school district because that's really important for us to work with the city to improve our student safety, like student bikers. So I think
Yeah, it goes quick. All right. Your second lightning round question. How should LGBTQ students be protected and supported in our schools? For example, how are trans student need met, including trans athletes?
so. Yeah, I think we have a similar discussion, but every student's needs is different. But I think the students' wellness is really important. So I believe we need to understand the needs of each student. The same, it applies to that the topic too. So if we provided the so the rest, okay. So I support that. And definitely we need to train our staff members.
Got a lot of ground to cover in 30 seconds. All right. So with that, that's the last question. Now you have an opportunity to make a 1-minute closing statement.
So when I first ran for school board 8 years ago, so I wanted to see the perspective of the family similar to mine. I'm an immigrant parent. I'm an English learner. You probably could see that. But I wanted to bring that perspective into decision making. But throughout 8 years, I learned a lot, and my work on the board is actually serving every student, every families. So, and also the staff members and community members. I see this work as a collective work and collaborative work. So I want to bring my experience and the connection with the community to serve our students. Every students prepare for future in very rapidly changing world with AI, and let them success and let them have equal and let them have opportunity to thrive at our school campus.
All right. So with that, that concludes your interview.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the time. Good luck with everything. All right. So our next candidate is Ilanit, who is running for Fremont Union High School District Trustee Area 4. Welcome. Your microphone's already turned on. So we're going to go ahead and start with 1-minute opening statement.
So, hi everybody. My name is Ilanit Eliaz, and thank you so much for having me here today. I'm a proud mom of 2 wonderful sons that were born here and grew up here in Sunnyvale. I'm also a special education educator. I was working and volunteering with families with children with special needs in Sunnyvale. I was also advocating and leading a parents group in Sunnyvale, helping the parents, the students navigate the system. I volunteered for hundreds of hours in my kids' schools in Sunnyvale as a room parent, a teacher assistant, teaching art, and wherever help was needed. I'm running for transparency and accountability and for a stronger representation of the students of Sunnyvale.
Thank you. All right, so now we have a series of 2-minute long form, quote unquote, questions. There's going to be 5 of them. And the first one that we is letting you get your notes over there. So the first question is.
Sorry, I forgot my glasses.
Barma. All right. Well, what is the role of a trustee? How do you approach it? Should they be directed to the superintendent and staff or deferring to them?
Okay. So the role of the trustee is to govern the district, represent the community, and advocate for students' interests. A trustee develops policies and provide oversight on what is taught and how success is measured. Their fiduciary responsibility is to approve the budget. Sorry, you can see, and offer financial oversight. For instance, approving the district's annual budget and ensuring funds are allocated efficiently and is with compliance with the state and federal laws. Another responsibility of the board is hiring the superintendent and evaluating his or her performances. The board is also in charge of facilities and infrastructures oversight. The role of the trustee is to serve as bridge between community and school district. They also approve the adoption and implementation of the curriculum and ensure appropriate instruction. The board ensures accountability, transparency, and performance monitoring, reviewing students' achievements data, and holding leadership accountable for results. The best approach is to give clear direction to the superintendent and communicate it to the community. The board needs to set clear expectations, direct the policies and visions, and let the superintendent manage the execution and day-to-day leadership. Not blindly defer to the superintendent, nor try to manage the district themselves. The board needs to give the superintendent the authority to do their job, but hold them accountable for results. A trustee has the responsibility to ask the superintendent thoughtful and sometimes hard questions when needed.
Thank you.
I don't know how I'm doing on time.
So are you able to see the timer over there? Would it help if it were close?
Okay, great.
I'm sure somebody will shout something.
There. All right. So your second question is, what steps should be taken to address historic inequities in North Sunnyvale, including transportation to school and access to extracurricular activities?
Addressing historic inequities in North Sunnyvale requires first acknowledging the barriers that have existed and making sure that every student has equitable access to opportunities available across the district. Transportation is a major part of it. Students should not have to miss out on school, program, tutoring, athletics, or other opportunities because they do not have reliable and safe transportation. I would support reviewing transportation routes, schedules, and eligibility to identify where gaps exist and prioritizing resources where the need is greatest. We also need to look at access to extracurricular activities, fees, transportation, scheduling, and availability of information can all become barriers, particularly for families who may already face challenges accessing their district resources. I would support expanding communication about available programs, examining participation data, and working with schools and community partners to reduce those barriers. Most importantly, I believe decisions should not be guided by data but by listening directly to the students and families affected. Equity does not mean giving everyone the same thing. It means making every student has a fair opportunity to participate, succeed, and feel included in the district.
All right, thank you. Your third question. What is the school district's role in providing nutrition to students when school is in session and during school break?
So the school district has an important responsibility to make sure students have access to nutritious meals while school is in session. A student who is hungry has a harder time concentrating, learning, and fully participating in school. Access to healthy meals should be part of creating an environment where every student has opportunity to succeed. The district should make sure its meals programs are accessible, nutritious, culturally responsive, and provided in a way that protects students' dignity. We should also look at whether there are barriers that prevent students from accessing meals, including transportation, scheduling, or lack of awareness about available programs. During school breaks, I believe that the district should establish a nutritious bridge that offer healthy food options for families to pick up. The district can partner with community organizations and other agencies to offer meal programs during extended breaks, particularly for students and families who may depend on school meals during academic year. For example, Sunnyvale School District has already established Nutrition Bridge. As a trustee, I would support reviewing participation data, listening to families, and identifying gaps in both school year and break time nutrition. No student should have to choose between being hungry and being ready to learn.
Thank you. All right. So your fourth question. Some parents have raised concerns about the teaching of LGBTQ plus students and discussing the war in the Middle East. How should these subjects be addressed in the classroom? Does AB 715 impact how these topics are presented?
I would approach both subjects with the same principle. Students should be able to learn about complex and sometimes controversial topics in a factual, respectful environment without bias, stereotyping, or discrimination. For LGBTQ plus topics, schools should follow California standards and district-approved curriculum. Present information that is developmentally appropriate for students and that treats everyone with the same dignity and respect. When teaching about the war in the Middle East, students should have access to historical context, factual information, and multiple perspectives, including the experience of all sides. Students should be encouraged to ask questions and think critically, while making clear that hatred or discrimination towards any group is unacceptable. AB 715 reinforces these expectations by requiring instructions to be factually accurate and free from discriminatory bias, while strengthening protection against anti-Semitism. As a trustee, I would support open discussion and critical thinking while ensuring that every student feels safe and respected. I also believe parents should have transparency and meaningful access to information about what is being taught.
Thank you. All right. Your fifth and final long-form question. What policies are needed to ensure that the district works with the feeder districts, such as the Sunnyvale School District, to guarantee that students coming to high school can meet state requirements in mathematics, English, science, arts, and language?
I think that it's important that the district needs a strong, consistent partnership with its feeder districts to ensure that students enter high school prepared to meet California's graduation and college and career readiness requirements. I would support policies and agreements that require regular collaboration between Fremont Union High School District and feeder districts to align curriculum, expectations, and standards in core areas such as mathematics, English, science, arts, and world languages. This should include sharing appropriate data, identifying gaps in student preparation early, and developing transition plans for students who need additional support. We should also create regular opportunities for teachers and counselors from both districts to communicate about course expectations and prerequisites so that students and families understand what they need before entering high school. Most importantly, we need to monitor outcomes. The board should receive regular reports showing whether students are entering high school prepared and whether there are achievement gaps among different student groups. My goal would be a seamless transition from middle school to high school, where students are not disadvantaged because of which school they attended. Every student should have a clear pathway to meet graduation requirements and be prepared for college, career, and life.
Thank you. All right, so now we have two lightning round questions that have not been shared with you in advance. For each of these, you have 30 seconds. Goes by fast. And the first of them is, what more can the district do to support safe routes to school?
So as I always, you can see it in my questions, I think it's important to talk to the community and see where the problems are, where can we improve, and talk to the local groups that are involved with that and create better routes to school and safer routes to school. If I can say really quickly, transportation, in case that, there's no safe routes to school.
Thank you. And your second and final question. How should LGBTQ students be protected and supported in our schools? For example, how are trans student needs met, including trans athletes? How are trans students' needs met, including trans athletes?
So, I'm sorry, I didn't, can you repeat the whole question? I'm sorry.
How should LGBTQ students be protected and supported in our schools? For example, how are trans student needs met, including trans athletes?
So I hope I understand the question correctly. So how to support, how to protect LGBTQ plus? I think we should be able to have like maybe a separate way to approach the LGBTQ plus or the trans athletes. Maybe again talk to them and check what they need and how they can interact with the rest of the athlete groups.
All right. So with that, we invite you to deliver a 1-minute closing statement to the club, please.
So in closing, I would like to say that as an immigrant myself, it was not easy navigate the school system with my kids when they were in schools. And I would like to help those that are right now in that position, immigrant parents for students here. The second thing I would like to say is that I feel that we need to support the students of North Sunnyvale. They need our help, they need their support, and I would like to help them with that when I'm on the board. And I think we can do better with that. Two really quick things about me is, aside from education, I'm a rock climber and I volunteer with animal rescues, which means I'm gonna work hard. I'm not afraid of working hard, and I'm not afraid of also small fuzzy animals. And I appreciate having the time to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So our last candidate that we are interviewing today is also for Fremont Union High School District Trustee Area 4, and that is Naomi Nakano-Matsumoto. Let's just set your things down here. So looks like your mic's already hot. All right, so first up, we have time for a 1-minute opening statement to the club.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to be interviewed. And I want to also express my appreciation for having been endorsed by our club. I've been a member of the SunnyvaleDems Club for about 8 years and also part of several other Dems clubs that I call Sunnyvale my home club. I'm invested in Sunnyvale in the sense that my children are 4th generation Sunnyvale residents. They all 3 of them graduated from Homestead High School, and my husband graduated from Fremont High School. So we are a Sunnyvale family, and I am invested in students and making sure that education is available to all of our students and that all of our students have what they need to succeed here in Sunnyvale so that they can go on to pursue the careers that they have or interests that they want to pursue. Does that mean 1 minute? Okay.
All right, so now we have a series of 2-minute questions. So there's 5 of them. And the first of them is, what is the role of a trustee and how do you approach it? Should they be directing the superintendent and staff or deferring to them?
So the role of the Board of Trustees is that we are a publicly elected body, and there are 5 of us. And with the superintendent, we make up the governance team for the district. And so none of us can act alone. We have to act in as a majority. And so we as a majority can direct the superintendent to work on initiatives that we feel are important for our students in our district. I cannot on my own say to the superintendent, you need to do. Now there is, as far as deferring or work, I really believe in partnerships and building relationships. And if you talk to many other elected officials, like some of the member parents, relationships are the key to what can get work done.
You've still got a minute.
Okay. So I can't see that far. So there are, we do need to direct the superintendent at time. We shouldn't always be deferring to them if what is right for students is not in the way that we see or what the community sees they want to move forward.
And your second question is, what steps should be taken to address historic inequities in North Sunnyvale, including transportation to school, access to extracurricular activities?
Well, we all know that there has been for about 40-something years inequities in North Sunnyvale. My husband's family owned a business in North Sunnyvale for over 50 years, so he has seen that. And so what we as a district are doing is looking at what are the things that are barriers for our students, right? So transportation, one, nutrition is another one, housing, the cost of living. And there's one more now, just with my mind, but we are looking at ways that we can put resources into the areas that are needed so that we can implement programs that are specific to the community that we serve. So each school, and we have 5 schools. Each of those 5 schools are very different in many, many different ways. And so one size fits all does not work for each school. And so we look at, as a team, what is the best way to serve each school. And resources might be different, time might be different. Those are the things that we consider.
Thank you. Your third question, what is the school district's role in providing nutrition to students when school is in session and during school breaks?
Having been part of or executive director of West Valley Community Services, which is the same as Sunnyvale Community Services, I know what food deserts are. I know how important nutrition and food is to families and especially to our students. One of the things that we have been looking at, what's important is that we do provide 2 meals that are one state funded and one federally funded. And we only have funding for those 2. Even with that, we spend over $1 million to make sure that outside of their budget, to make sure that our students have farm to table food, that they are locally sourced, and that they are culturally relevant. And so we want to make sure, I think one of the things that we need to look at is our students choosing not to eat because they don't want to get up early and get food, or as many high school students will say, they don't want to get up 5 minutes early to get food? Or is it really that there's no food in their home? And then there's ways that we need to look at how do we sustain them, not just for the day, but for long term. So that's connecting with Sunnyvale Community Services, West Valley Community Services, and making sure that they get signed up for all of the resources can, because it's not just food. Because if there's no money for food, there's no money for other things too.
Thank you. All right, your fourth question. Some parents have raised concerns about the teaching of LGBTQ plus subjects and discussing the war in the Middle East. How should these subjects be addressed in the classroom? Does AB 715 impact how these topics are presented?
Well, that is a new law that has come into place. And it's interesting that many of our groups, organizations that are student advocacy organizations like CTA, the California Teachers Association, CSBA, which is the California School Board Association, ACLU, and others had opposed because they felt that it took away agency for our teachers. And, I really believe that each of us, as far as districts, try to hire the best teachers that we can. And to be able to let them, with a provided approved curriculum, teach the subjects that they need to teach. And that they are the ones. I can't go in and teach math. I'm a virgin. But we hire to do that. So putting restrictions on that sometimes can make it harder for our students. And I think one of the things as a high school district, our role is to make sure that our students are critical thinkers, and so that they can go out into the world and be able to look at, and hear various different opinions or facts, and be able to make judgment. So, and with some of the restrictions that doesn't allow for us to do that.
Thank you. All right, our fifth and final long form question. What policies are needed to ensure that the district works with the feeder districts, such as the Sunnyvale School District, to guarantee that students coming to high school can meet state requirements in mathematics, English, science, arts, and language?
Well, we just went into a contract and working agreement with the Sunnyvale School District to work on exactly that. We have for a long time been providing opportunities for, and probably not as well as we could be, to get our Sunnyvale students, and my kids were all Sunnyvale School District graduates, to be able to have opportunities so that when they get to high school, that they will be ready to do so. So we have provided an instructor to provide music instruction in some of the middle school. We have bridging programs that we have over the summer, especially for our special education students. We bring them onto campus during the summer from 8th grade, who will be transitioning to 9th grade, to make sure that they are feeling comfortable, that their instructors will know who they are, they will know their instructors. So yes, we need to do more, but we have a history of doing things. And we do need to, I think, and our teachers actually and our admin staff meet regularly to talk about students that they are moving in from 8th grade to 9th grade.
Thank you. All right, so next we have two lightning questions, and Tom will share with you. And so these are 30 seconds apiece, and go fast. All right, so the first one, what more can the district do to support safe routes to school?
Well, when I first came onto the board, that's one of the questions that I asked, because I live right on Mary Avenue, and I can count the number of bikes that roll by, and as I went to work, I knew that they were not safe in many ways, not them. The drivers were not making it safe for them. We have met with several bicycle advocacy groups to look at different ways that we can provide that education and we've looked at the Homestead corridor, which I supported, and
That's done. All right, thank you. Okay, so the second question. How should LGBTQ students be protected and supported in our schools? For example, how are trans student needs met, including trans athletes?
okay, well, I'm going to take trans athletes first. They make up a very, 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 very small percentage of youth in all of California, probably less than 25. I mean, I don't have the right numbers. And so, I think that we need to protect them. I will stand to protect them, and I will stand to protect all LGBTQ students and students from other marginalized groups. One of the things that I did on the board is, as we were looking at board policy, that we still have a lot of he, she, and we changed that.
That's a lot to cover there in 30 seconds. All right, and now 1 minute closing statement for the club.
Well, thank you. I think that Fremont Union High School District is an outstanding district. I wouldn't run for re-election if I did not feel that this was, that I did love the district. We certainly have a lot of challenges that we have to look at and work on, but we can't do it in isolation. We have to work with our feeder districts, and we have to work with the cities, we have to work with the state, and so forth, because we are all invested in making sure our children thrive and do well once they leave the district. And so I look to you for being able to continue that work and work in partnership moving forward. So thank you.
All right, so thank you. That concludes our interviews. And now I believe the next portion of the process is that we close to only club members. And that's